Howdy. Just got back from the Richmond Fishing Expo. I'm sure most of y'all know the wintertime is fishing expo season. And we set a spending limit for $250. The intention to go to the show was to talk to some bait companies, some boat companies, some tournament trail folks, keep my name in the hat when people are thinking about who they should follow on social, who they should sponsor potentially, making sure my brand stays up. But always when I go to a fishing expo, it's really hard to walk around and not buy some stuff. So I'm going to walk you through what I ended up purchasing. First off, they get me every time, Dance's Sporting Goods. I went in thinking what I needed was a jerkbait reel and potentially a swim bait, and I had set my limit at $250. Well, the first place I stopped at, I spent $140 $140. I think in total we'll round it up, but I'm gonna go chronologically in reverse actually. So Dance's Sporting Goods, they're located in Colonial Heights, Virginia. I go down there for mainly rod selection, and they have a really good selection of megabass stuff. So when they're there, they're always offering some really good deals. All reels were 20% off. They've brought their best selection of baits, so I got a mix of both. Starting off with the Shimano SLX 71 HG. That's a 7.2-to-1 reel and a 70 size. I really like that smaller size for jerk baits and crankbaits. I don't need a ton of line capacity, and I've been hearing some good things about the new SLX. I've got a couple of the older ones, and if you've been on my channel before, you know I primarily, right now I only fish Shimano, and that's been the case for pretty much my whole life. I grew up fishing Shimano. My dad was Shimano nut. We always had a Stratic and a Calcutta on the bow. And now as an adult, I'm pretty much a Shimano-holic as well. So the new reel, the new 71 or the new 70 series SLX looks a lot like the Curado. It doesn't have that plastic feel like the older SLXs had. Here you can see them side by side. I don't know if hopefully you can see those two, the differences. This looks like the real body of the Curado. It's still got the blue in the handle, so looks like the handles pretty much match up. This is just an SLX 151, that 6:3-to-1 gear ratio. But I'm excited to give this a shot. The 70 size, really quite a bit smaller than the 151. So excited to use this, and gonna put this actually on this rod. This is a new to me jerkbait rod. It's a Sierra 682 Dobbins rod. So those were 20% off of 150. Then really loved this A-Rig and lost one not long ago. It's the Tactical Bassin mini bladed flex rig. It has, I want to say, 2 hooks and 3 dummies. It's a 5-wire, but there's only going to be 2 hooks on there. I personally, I kind of like to give them a better chance. Not fishing all 5, but don't get me wrong, I fish the Flash Mob Junior quite a bit as well, which is it's 5 hooks. And then Dance's carries a great selection of depths baits. These are the Depth Sakamata shads. I have not personally used these, but boy, if there's one bait from forward-facing sonar perspective that's been talked about really often, it's the Sakamata shad. I bought both of these in the 4-inch version. I don't know the colors, but you can see them up close there. A more blue color, translucent, and then a black and blue translucent. And that was what Dance's Sporting Goods got me for. That receipt, I don't think I got a receipt, but that was $145. Next up, landbigfish.com. This bag has got stuff from multiple places. Let's see. But from landbigfish.com, I grabbed a couple of my favorite jerkbaits, of course. So we replaced this bait. This is the +1 110 Junior Megabass, and then another one, same size, same +1. The colors on this one, this is actually one, like I mentioned, I just got it, I just lost it, broke it off on a fish. The Ito Natural. If you haven't watched my 1v1 tournament against my buddy Aaron, this was the first bait that I lost that day. You know, this is a $20 bait. And then this is the matte shad color. Really like the matte shad a lot as well. And then some Megabass Vision 110s that I haven't used before, but these are the +2. So I have been fishing a lot during the winter, and those fish get really shallow, or really deep in the winter. And a jerkbait, as everyone knows, is a great winter bait, but if you can't get it to them, what are they supposed to do? They're not moving fast, they're not really searching for bait all the time. So the advantage of a suspending jerkbait in the winter is that you can pause it for a really long time and it's going to stay in the same place. But if it's not in the right part of the water column, per se, 15 feet or at least 12 feet, which the 110 +2 is supposed to get to, that 12-foot zone, then you're not going to catch them. You can't use a +1 and expect to get to 15 feet or get a fish in 15 feet if they're super lazy, challenged from a water clarity perspective. So I'm excited to try these +2s. I grabbed 2 of them. These were 2 for $40, and the 110 Junior +1s were $32. So 20% off when you bought 2. And then a nice spool of 10-pound Sunline Super or Sunline FC Sniper. If you know me, I use almost 100% Sunline when it comes to fluoro, at least. The Super FC Sniper, and it's in a blue case. I don't remember the name of it, but those are the 2 lines that I use primarily for fluorocarbon. And then that's what I grabbed from those guys at the fishing, what is it called? landbigfish.com. And that was another $120. So we're at $260. Whoops. Then we've got one of my favorite swim baits, period. One of my favorite soft swim baits, without question, hands down. And if you watched my Richmond Fishing Expo video from last year, go back, watch that, see what I grabbed, because I did a tackle haul there too. The Boom Boom Weedless Swim Bait from Optimum. This bait specifically, this one here, this is the 6-inch version. This caught me my PB striper in April of this year in downtown Richmond. A 17-pound, 37-inch striper. I actually lost my phone that night. I had my phone on the gimbal or the tripod that this GoPro is sitting on right now, and when I put that fish in the boat, my phone went in the water. The tripod shook, threw my phone. And then, so that's the 6-inch. I got that in the shad color and the crusher shad color. Crusher shad has a bit more of a translucent bottom to it, but that same bluish purple top, and then same bluish purple top, but more of a darker white. So I'd probably fish this in a bit murkier or muddier water versus this in a bit clearer water. And usually those 6-inch ones I throw a 8/0 owner beast hook or a flashy swimmer. So it's either with a weight and no blade, or with a blade with that flashy swimmer. And then the one that I personally throw more often than any other swim bait, soft, hard, period, doesn't matter, the 4.5-inch Boom Boom weedless. This caught my PB largemouth this year, a 7-pound, 15-ounce largemouth in Florida on the St. Johns River. I fish this typically with a 4/0 or a 5/0 beast hook or a flashy swimmer. More often than not, I'm throwing that with the flashy swimmer. But this color in particular is the one that I typically reach for. That's the Ghost Minnow. It's a bit translucent with some green and then some kind of flash purple-ish color in the back. And finally, another bait to give a shot with a jig head minnow for live scope, the Optimum. What's the name of this? Don't know the name, but nice little jig head minnow bait there. Really like the Optimum brand. I lived in California for quite a while, so I followed all the swim bait guys out there, fished all those swim bait lakes, and Optimum was one of the bigger companies. They're based out of Temecula, California, which is not too far from where I lived in San Diego. And they're proven. I mean, Fred Rumbanus, the guy is just a swim bait OG. That dude catches the hell out of them on Optimum swim baits, and he designed that Boom Boom weedless. So that was another haul from a different place. That was like $60 even. So at this point, 140, 120. So 260, so we're at 320. We've already broken that 250 limit. And we still have 2 bags to go through, unfortunately. This was an interesting one. I did a full walkthrough with the owner of this company. They're called 911 or 911. 911, I assume. 911 Custom Lures. They had some really interesting looking buzzbaits, and I personally, I absolutely love throwing a buzzbait, especially black on black buzzbait. This is their ticker buzzbait. So as you'll see, it's got a little clacker there and a bit of a light wire, so you can bend this and you can actually get the clacker or the buzzer to hit the head on the buzzbait. So really cool concept there. Creates a ton of noise. So for where I'm fishing, it's typically pretty muddy. I'm on the James River in Virginia and fish surrounding tidal waters and a lot of water that's affected by rain, by mud. You know, we get that a lot. So I grabbed a couple of those tickers. So they actually had them in a small size. So that last one I showed you was a 3/8 ounce. I grabbed the same thing in a 1/2 ounce. So that's the black with the gold blade. And then I also grabbed the ticker, the 1/2 ounce white gold blade. And I'm excited for this one because I think during some smallmouth, ideal smallmouth fishing, getting into like April and then throughout the summer, you know, pre-spawn, spawn, summer, early fall, into fall, when fish eat a buzzbait, these 1/4 ounce tickers are really going to do the trick. They're quite a bit smaller. I personally, one of my favorite baits to throw for big smallmouth is a buzzbait. So I'm excited to use those. These colors, a light blue shad and then a Tillery shad. So with this one, you'll see there's a bit of green in there. The head's got some chartreuse on it with a gold blade. This one, white with a little blue flake in it, a white head, and a white blade. And finally, their show special was buy 3. Well, actually, we went through all of them. Their show special was buy 5, get 1 free. So I ended up with 6 total baits there. And that brought me to, I want to say that was like $50. So now we're at $370. Oops. And finally, Biz Baits. I have fished their stuff quite a bit. Really enjoy fishing some specific things from them that I've tried out so far, like these heavy finesse jigs. I grabbed a couple of those because that's really what's been working for me recently. I grabbed 3 of those, 2.5 ounce, 1 and a 3/8 ounce. Those are green pumpkin with a little blue in them. This spinner bait, I've been fishing this spinner bait all year, so I grabbed another one just in case. That's a 1/2 ounce with the Biz blade. It's the Indiana, Colorado, so it's got the double big blades and then the orange on there too. Great for muddy water, colder water, slow rolling. And then the baby Biz bug. I've really in the winter been throwing these smaller trailers, and the baby Biz bug meets that for me. It's a 3¼ inch size bait. It's got some pretty big flappers on it, but they actually come where you have to separate them if you want to. But in the winter, I don't separate them, and they stay together, and they just get a little flap versus two flappers moving around a ton. Then I grabbed this dinner bell buzzbait. I love throwing a buzzbait with a frog on it, so give this a shot. I've got quite a few buzzbaits that are trailerless that I just throw a frog on. That will be another one of them. Actually, I grabbed 4 of the heavy finesse jigs. Another 3/8 ounce. And then finally, we're at the end of this haul. Tiger crankbaits. They are from Chesterfield, which is down the street from me. They came out with this really cool new, what they're calling a wake bait. It's intended to mimic a frog. It sits barely under the water and has a bunch of legs that stick out of the side. And so it's a crankbait looking body, small bill on it. And I was watching a video on it. It goes probably, dives 2 to 4 inches under the water. You stop it and it goes straight up. So really mimics the action of a frog swimming in the water. You can hook that with this has got a double hook on the rear, or you can do a single with like let's say a paddle tail swim bait or a little tiny jerk bait. That thing, I think this is gonna get bit in the pre-spawn spawn time when you'd normally be throwing a frog. So I'm excited to try that out. That's a new bait from them. And then this hot cherry craw colored flat-sided crankbait. Really good looking crankbait. They do all hand painted stuff, so looks great. So in total that was $30. So I went quite a bit over my budget. I think I'm at $410 or $400. I walked in intending to spend $250, got to talking, saw some things that I really liked. I have a hard time with not spending spending money on stuff that I really like. So that's what I ended up with. Need a little more self-control, I think. Let me know if you went to the Richmond Fishing Expo or you went to a fishing expo this year and what you ended up with. I'm excited with my haul. I can't wait to use some of this stuff. And if you haven't already subscribed yet, I've got a couple more videos coming from the Richmond Fishing Expo. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and check out the other Richmond Fishing Expo videos. We'll see you next time.